Every decision you make today is casting a vote for the woman that you are becoming. Everything you tolerate, everything you walk away from, everything you say yes to, everything you say no to, anything you're postponing, all of these play a part in creating your future. So here's an important question. The decisions that you're making now, are they creating the person that you want to be? Or are they keeping you tied to a version of yourself that maybe you've already outgrown? Today, I'm sharing with you 7 decisions that can help you to become the future self that you want to be. Because you don't become her overnight. You become her one step at a time and one decision at a time. Decisions are so important because they shape our identity, they shape our outcomes, and they also shape who we are becoming in the future. Welcome, I am Dr. Monique, and after reinventing my life after the age of 40, I am now on a mission to help women just like you to finally stop putting themselves last and to create lives that they love. So, I believe that it is never too late to transform your life. And that's why we're talking about these 7 decisions today. And stay with me to the end because the 7th decision, that's the one that can really determine whether all of the other ones even work. All right, so let's get started with the first decision. The first decision is to decide who you are becoming. And this is where you really get clear about what you want. We get to determine who our future self will be. And so once you decide who you want to be, and let's say a year from now, or 5 or 10 years from now, you can make decisions that will make that future self a reality. So my future self is married to my best friend. My future self is a best-selling author, does a TED Talk, of course, has many subscribers on YouTube. So if you're watching, I really appreciate it if you would just go ahead and like and subscribe, because I'm really wanting to just work with women and make an impact. So not just on you who are watching, but on your future generations. And so I'm making decisions based on this future self. It's so important that you decide who you want to be. What do you want to be doing? You can go as far as what type of job does your future self have? What kind of car? Where does she live? What kind of clothes does she wear? How much money does she make? How does she feel when she wakes up in the morning? Does she spend time in prayer and meditation? Does she work out? There's so many different things, and I'm not asking you to answer all of those right at this moment, but I am suggesting that you take some time to really envision who she is. Once you have an idea about your future self and you know who you want to become, that can make the other decisions easier to make. So decision number 2 is to decide, what are you willing to tolerate? And maybe up until now, you've tolerated some things that you know that you should have moved on. But as you're moving towards your future self, you may decide, oh no, I'm no longer available for disrespect. I don't do chaos and jealousy and gossip. There's just certain things that I refuse to participate in anymore. You can decide, I don't tolerate anything that's going to be disturbing my peace. This is not about controlling anybody else's behavior. This is about deciding what it is that you are willing to tolerate, and that if there's a situation that doesn't line up, what will you do? So you can ask yourself the question, what are the different things that I do right now that really are not acceptable to my ideal self, my future self, when I am her? You operate as your future self until you're here, your future self is here. And as you continue to operate as your future self, then you'll look up and you will be her. I did a video that was entitled, You Teach People How to Treat You. And the premise of that is that people will treat you the way, not only the way that you allow them to treat you, but also the way you treat yourself. And so at this step, when you're deciding what it is that you will and will not tolerate, think about that, how you want to be treated, and then treat yourself in that manner, and don't tolerate anything below the standards that you set. Decision number 3 is for you to decide how you spend your energy, because your time and your energy are important if you're going to live a life of peace and joy and victory. There's certain things that you can give your energy and your attention to. You get to make that decision. And you also have to be mindful that there are certain situations and people that may drain your energy. You can do an energy audit to determine what people or circumstances or situations drain your energy. You may have someone that every time you talk to her, all she does is complain about the same exact thing that she always complains about. When you're done talking to her, you just feel drained, and like she's just sucked all your energy. You get to decide how often you want to speak to her. You get to decide, do you want to give some different parameters? Maybe this is a close friend or a relative. Maybe you used to talk to her and let her complain for 30 minutes or an hour, and now you may talk to her for 5 minutes. We each get to decide how we use our time and how we use our energy. Decision number 4 is to choose growth over comfort. I just love the saying. It just puts it all into perspective for me that if nothing changes, nothing changes. It's so easy to just keep the status quo and let everything just keep going the way that it has been going, so we can just stay in our comfort zone. But if we want to grow, if we want to make some changes, if we really want to be her, our future self, our ideal self, this person that we have envisioned, then we're going to have to do some things that might be a little bit uncomfortable. Anything that you do to go to the next level will require some discomfort. If you think about maybe the first time you drove a car or you rode a bike, or the first time you went to high school, or when you went to college, you started a new job, whatever it is that was new that required you to go to a next level, there was a little bit of discomfort involved. And some things that we do are very uncomfortable. If you haven't been going to the gym, but your future self is fit, I'm 56, and I see myself in my 60s or 70s being flexible, strength training, just doing all kind of amazing things. So that might require a lot of discomfort. When I had a trainer, I had to be at the gym at 6 a.m. It would have been much more comfortable to stay in the bed until 7 o'clock. Albert Einstein reportedly said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We are not going to operate under that definition of insanity. That's why we have to choose growth over comfort. As things come up and you need to make a decision, ask yourself, am I choosing this because this is the best thing for me and it's going to get me where I want to go? Or am I choosing it because it's comfortable? Decision number 5 is to keep the promises that you make to yourself. Try to keep these promises in the same way you would if you were making a promise to someone else. So for me, I don't make promises and commitments as easily as I used to. If I tell someone that I'm going to do something, I do everything within my power to make it happen. I am dependable. And in that same way, I want to be able to depend on myself. You want to be careful so that when you make a commitment or a promise to yourself, that you will put forth the effort to try to accomplish it. And in that way, you can build self trust. And as you build self trust, that also builds your confidence. Decision number 6 is to quit asking for permission. Oftentimes, people will ask 2, 3, 5, 10 different people their opinion about something. They already know what they should do, but they want other people to validate their opinions. If you're going to truly be this person that you have envisioned, your future self, then you don't need to ask everybody's opinion about everything. And I'm not saying to not get wise counsel, because you should pursue wise counsel. If you need a therapist or a coach, you want to talk to your pastor, your mentor, a trusted friend, that is fine. But you just have to know what the line is. Okay, so I told you 7 was the most important, and I'm so glad that you are still here. Decision number 7 is to decide that your past does not get to determine your future. You get to choose your future. Just because something was your story last year or is currently the story that you're living doesn't mean that your next chapter has to be that way. A big thing that I do is to teach women that you get to write your next chapter, and your next chapter can be your best chapter. So regardless of what you have gone through in your past, you get to still decide your future. You don't have to be held hostage by things that happened in the past, by decisions you made in the past, by where you came from, the things that your family did. You don't have to be stuck or pigeonholed or put in a compartment like this is the only thing that you can do. You get to decide. You don't have to ignore your past, but the more important question is, who am I becoming? What is my future self like? And if you get kind of stuck, ask yourself the question, if that wasn't my past, what would I do to get to become my future self? And in that way, you can think creatively so that you can really accomplish your goals, that you can really get to the point where you are living as your ideal self, that you are her. Here's a takeaway. You do not become her all at once. You become her one step at a time. Here's a challenge for you. Make one decision that honors the person that you are becoming. I have a link below where you can schedule a consultation with me. They're called Next Chapter Conversations, where you and I can talk about where you are now and where you want to go and how I may be able to assist. And if this resonated with you, I believe you will love this video. It's entitled, You Already Know, Reclaiming the Confidence to Decide for Yourself. Subscribe, like, share, and I will see you next time. Be blessed.